idea is, you know, as I talk about what these players are trying to achieve, you know, today is Father's Day, and it's a reminder that there are people that we all look up to, and there are people that look up to us. And for the longest time, you know, we and these players have looked up to Golden Mickey winners and DLC winners as the people on the pinnacle, the people they want to be. And now both these players have the opportunity to be those people. And just take a moment, people, breathe it in, because these moments are rare.
They are fleeting, and they are not lasting, Liam. And I really want to say happy Father's Day to you. I know you have a brand new newborn, and you're going to take some time away to spend it here at the Disney Lorcana Challenge here in Indianapolis. And I couldn't think of spending any more time with anyone, a better man. So those are some very kind words. And I know the hype is there, the energy is there, but just remember this moment. I guarantee you, Bryan and Harvey, Alphos, will remember this moment for the rest of their lives. This is important. Yes, it's a game. Yeah, we got princesses. Yeah, we got sharks. Yes, we got, but this is impact, okay? This is real. This is hard work and dedication. This is an art form. And these Illuminators have put in a tremendous amount of effort to be in the positions that they are in. Alphos has traveled around the entire globe, and he has been conquering qualification after qualification after qualification. That is work, that is effort, that is time, that is requirement. We see that Bryan has gone to DLC after DLC after Top Cut after Top Cut and never had the opportunity to be where he is right now. And this is what it all comes down to. So it's not just the cards. This is more than the game. This is bigger than the game. And here it is. It all boils down to this. The best of 5. 2 wonderful players. Hopefully we get a nice, tight, fair matchup. And I just want to see, I would be very pleased with any winner that we have here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can't wait to see the way these players battle it out. And we are going to see now players altering their hands. Bryan going first looks like sending almost a full shift here, a full alter as we call it, but keeping one card and digging a little bit more, perhaps looking for that early ramp that we know he wants to have. On the other side, Harvey altering, it looks like keeping 3, keeping 4.
Got to have that early game. If you're playing this Ruby Sapphire, you're going to need that ramp on 2 or that T-Bow or maybe that Liquidator. I believe we're also playing the Jebediah Farnsworth. Just something to do in the early game to prevent Harvey from questing so aggressively. We also, looking on Harvey's side, you're probably trying to find that Grandmother Willow. I love to see a 1-cost Grandmother Willow, 1 cost, and just get the party started.
Yeah, and so let's talk about the game plans here, because you're right, Harvey has to win faster. We talk about inevitability in TCGs, and when we use that word, what we mean is if the game goes long, if a game goes infinitely long, which deck is going to win? Which deck has the tools necessary to succeed in a longer game? And in this matchup, because of the tools that Bryan brings to bear in the later game, the powerful cards that he can play with the ink that he's able to ramp, inevitability, frankly, is with the Ruby Sapphire deck, especially since Bryan probably has tools in there. He has Pirate's Life, things, and Olaf's to slow down the opponent, to keep them off 20 lore. And so given that inevitability is with the Ruby Sapphire deck, what Harvey wants to do is develop a wide board as fast as possible and to get game on the board as quickly as possible.
Right.
And the other problem is, though, he has to be careful about working around those board wipes.
Yeah, you have to stabilize. I think it's all about stabilization, because Harvey, if I'm Harvey, and I'm not Harvey, okay, he's a much stronger player. Alphos is one of the best players in the world, for crying out loud. But if I'm Alphos, I'm thinking I'm trying to get very aggressive very quickly. I'm trying to find as many lore pips as I can and slam them to the board as quickly as I can. And if I'm Bryan, you got to stabilize. You have to find a way to stop that questing early. And if you can do that, if you can get to that first board wipe and you can land it and stick it successfully, you can claw back. You're going to have to hold back a little bit. But if you can manage to slow them down, you can crawl back in.
Yeah, and so that's a great point, because when you talk about these Ruby Sapphire decks, and actually, frankly, this is true for either the item build or the action build. When you ask the players, hey, what's your game plan? What is the script? What are you trying to do? What's phase 1, 2, 3? Generally, for these players, phase 1 is, okay, it's always ramp.
Yep.
But after the ramp, the point you want to get to is, quote, freezing the board. And by that means getting those board wipes online, getting those big characters online, getting that targeted removal online so that you can prevent your opponent from winning the game. And once you do that, once you freeze the board, you can pursue your win condition, whether it's Shark or whether it's putting some bigger characters on the board, higher lore characters on the board to quest. So that's what Bryan's trying to do, is try to get to those later game power cards as fast as possible.
And yeah, so we got it here. Bryan is also going to be at a deficit, because you're going to be on the draw, and the fist bump is issued. A lot of sportsmanship. Both of these Illuminators have great respect for each other, and it has begun. Rapunzel into the inkwell, and Aurora holds holding court. It's going to be a nice, trusty one-cost character. You can bring out some princesses early.
That's true. We talk about ramp on Bryan's side of the board, but ramp also on this side of the board. There are cards that discount other cards, and that's one thing that Harvey is doing here, pairing this Aurora with an Eleanor, perhaps.
But a nice swing back. That is probably the best open you can have as you're playing that Liquidator on DS2 ink, but he is an underdog, so he can use only one ink to play this very robust, challenging liquid iced over. So you'll be able to stop some of that questing, exactly what you needed.
That's true. The play dog disparity can be a pretty important deal in Disney Lorcana, but recently we got this underdog ability on cards, which if you're on the draw, gives you a little bit of a benefit, allowing you to get out a very well-statted character cheaper than you normally would be able to. And getting this Liquidator on the board does prevent this ramp from, or it doesn't prevent the ramp, but it will punish Harvey for ramping with that Aurora if he chooses to do so by offering Bryan a free removal.
But we will continue the plan. We will go ahead and use all of our ink allotment to play that Lady Decisive Dog and this Kita. So keeping the board nice and wide, electing not to quest. So you did kind of stifle Harvey's plans a little bit. You like to get a nice little quest in there, but that Liquidator proving why this is a very solid card in this matchup. Just keeping that board upright and active, and now you can worry about the tramp lines a little bit later on.
But Harvey has set up nicely for an Eleanor here on the next turn, able to exert all of his characters. And even though he can't deal with that Liquidator by Eleanor alone, he will force Harvey into a trade situation if he chooses to challenge in, get a card and a lore out of it as well. So I didn't see if we have the Eleanor in hand, but it would be a nice play to follow up this early wide board.
Very true. The Dogs players have been really leaning on that tramp line to start, very consistent tramp line, but now it seems like the Dog players, at least the Dog players that I've been speaking to, kind of prefer this Eleanor line that you spoke about, Liam. But if you do exert that Lady Decisive Dog, that Liquidator is looking for a challenge, and if he can get a +1, even a +2 sometimes, you'll take that all the way to the bank. Now you're sitting at 3 ink. Looking at Bryan's hand, it's a little bit clunky in brick,
yes,
as you do have those how far I'll goes available.
Yeah, and it is interesting here. Harvey has a little bit of breathing room. It is a little clunky, but the how far it goes will help. Again, Bryan does have some late game answers, though. So Harvey, that Liquidator proving crucial here, absolutely crucial, because Harvey would be pushing the lore totals here significantly the last couple turns, but being forced to keep his characters ready and protected. And talk about going wide.
Yeah,
this is wide.
We are way wide. And that Tramp Enterprising Dog does target the Lady Decisive Dog. They do have a nice synergy there. She will reduce his cost, so he's able to be played for free or for cheap. And you will be able to increase her strength to above 3. So now she's questing for 3, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, she should be questing for 3 in this position.
Yeah, so that lore total, I think, on the right, I think we did see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quest on that, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Something to keep in mind. I do think that lore total may be a little bit off, unless I'm, again, missing something.
We will keep that updated for you all. At a minimum, it should be 3, but I'm fairly confident that Lady Decisive Dog did get her full value quest. Liquidator will have to challenge there. I'm sure he's going to challenge anyway, but we are going to take that challenge and take out that Lady Decisive Dog. But this board is massive, and we are going to be able to find the Tramp. Street Smart Dog, very powerful in this Lady and the Tramp Emerald Dogs deck. This character will be able to draw a card for every other character you have in play and then discard that amount. And you can play them for cheap sometimes. You got a nice little discount on the Street Smart Dog.
Yeah, and it's one of the cards that's made this deck so consistent, because not only is it a very big board presence for the ink cost when you get them into play for cheaper, but then it does allow you to dig very, very deep and find particular tools that you're looking for. Harvey showing Bryan here what he's discarding, what's going to the discard pile. I don't see what he kept. But this is always smoothed out rough openings for Dogs. It's a fantastic card, arguably one of the best cards in the game.
I would assume that he kept the Ursula Deceiver. I didn't quite see it myself, but at this point,
have it?
I don't think he did. I think he's going to try to hang on to that, because you are getting dangerously close to that. Be prepared. You're still a few turns away. Maybe we have that how far I'll go in hand. You can start to accelerate your inkwell a bit and your hand, but I'm pretty sure you're going to have an answer for this Be Prepared on the following turn soon.
Yeah, you were 1 turn away from that Be Prepared with how far I'll go, and so and you ink for turns. So like, if he did find the Deceiver, I didn't see what he found. If he did find the Deceiver off that Tramp and that was an option, then it would be, you're right, the perfect pick in this scenario.
And Howl's Pickens, and that's the card I'm picking. But we look at the hands. Bryan is struggling with inkability. You have that popsicle in your hands, your only inkable card. You have the Olaf Snowman of action as well. But you really would like to try to start to develop some bodies in play. And I believe with the amount of actions that you have in hand, you can bring this Olaf Snowman of action, and we do. He's a 2-quester. He will reduce that lore that Harvey has. We're already already sitting at 9, so now you're going back down to 7.
So he's a great challenger. He reduces lore. You know what else he does?
He can sing.
He can sing.
He's got a talented voice, and somewhere I hear Baker running around this venue already. He hasn't had a chance to get one off, I don't think, but there might be an opportunity to see a Ruby 7-cost uninkable action being sang by this Olaf Snowman of action. That's a very powerful line, only available by these action-heavy strategies.
Yeah, and I do think we see the lore total updated over on the right, so I think we should be correct here. Now, we are going to see pretty quickly whether or not Harvey has that Deceiver available, because it is a card he'd love to play here, but instead, we do see that Lilo Escape Artist coming in, and that is going to be a problem for him, because here we are going to see a big quest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coming in, all the way to 13, but now, despite the uninkables in hand, Olaf does sing. We have options, and there it is.
There it is. Baker, where are you, my brother? It is time. Maybe he can hear me, but be prepared. Being sang by an Olaf Snowman of action, and you are able to use the rest of your Inkwell as well, as we're going to take a quick little vision of the future, and this is the position that Bryan needs to be in. You got that first board wipe done. Harvey now only 1 card in hand. One saving grace for Alphos is that you do have that Lilo Escape Artist set up into the discard pile. So now you can kind of play that game, but here it is. The game has changed forever.
Yeah, not getting a lot of help there off that Vision of the Future. I think Bryan had like 3 ramp cards, a Tipo, 2 Azurite Seas, and eventually ended up picking a Popsicle, I think. So his deck not doing him any favor there.
Yeah, but sometimes that's good. You gotta get all that stuff to the bottom of the deck. I need what I need. If you play the Vision, sometimes you see a bunch of junk you don't need, put it to the bottom of the deck and push on.
That's fair. So spending the whole turn there, drawing, developing the board, and now Lilo Escape Artist here, escaping from the discard pile, courtesy of her ability, and Bryan running, hey, make sure to exert that ink there. But Harvey, low resource, and here's the problem, JD. Like, he went wide. Harvey went for it, said, if you have it, you have it. I'm going to try to win this game right now. And as a result, all of those cards which were played to board have not been inked. Harvey operating now on a 1-card hand, 3 ink in play, having inked that queen right there. And this is a challenge because he needs cards, he needs ink, he needs characters on board.
You got to kind of, now you're at a spot where every card you get, you're going to have to try to turn that card into some lore. You need this Lilo to stick around. You understand that Bryan has to have access to Maui, Hero to all. You can start to deploy that Maui with the Popsicle, get the carpetbag set up, and now you have your own, build your own anti-Lilo kit established, but you don't have that. We have those double Firefly Swarms in hand, along with that Maleficent Dragon. If we can set up this Maui, here we go. This is a great answer. Maui Half Shark has landed, and now that is just going to be some nice Lilo food here.
Yeah, Maui Half Shark is one of the finishers in this deck. This card is a favorite of Ruby players ever since it was printed, and really kind of the anchor of this actions deck. This card allows you to pull a card action back from the discard pile whenever he challenges. He does have evasive, and he also gains lure whenever you play an action. So the challenge here is this deck runs a Pirate Life, and so Pirate's Life. One of Harvey's ways to finish this game is obviously just to drop a character every turn and quest. Drop a character and quest. And if that shark is gaining a few lore every turn off actions, that's totally fine, even if he's banishing your characters. But if Bryan is able to start looping a Pirate's Life where every single turn Maui Half Shark is taking your lore, taking your lore, taking your lore, then even if you're able to incrementally gain a little bit, it keeps you off victory. And so this Maui Half Shark could be a problem.
You got that Snowman Olaf Man of Action as well, as we will just take a time to Firefly Swarm this Lilo Escape Artist, trying to keep as much lore off the board as possible, but we're also setting up more action. We got a quick count, so that might mean we have another Olaf inbound. And another thing Harvey might have to do is change the game plan. You now might have to keep your characters ready until you can get 7 lore in play, and hope we don't find that a Pirate's Life, Liam.
And that Olaf is such a powerful card in this deck. I mean, coming in for cheap and being able to sing Be Prepared is one thing, but really, that 2 lore that he's subtracting from Harvey is just so devastating. The thing in Disney Lorcana is a lot of times these decks are built around clocks, and in different matchups, you have this idea of, I need to buy this turn, have this many lore, and you have to be on a certain pace in order to win the game. And these cards that subtract lore from your opponent, they change that math.
Yeah.
And it's really, really frustrating to have to accumulate 26 lore to win the game instead of 20.
Absolutely. All your cards kind of at rate. You have a kind of this mathematical equation, how much lore you get per card, and that, like you said, the Olafs and the Pirate's Life make that so much more difficult. The Ursula Deceiver is going to interplay, and then we're going to look at the hand revealing the Maleficent Dragon, so we're going to go ahead and play it. And Dragonfire is going to be the ability name, taking out out probably that Nani stage, man. I think that's an adequate target. And this Maui should have been ready, and now we'll just make him exert again for a quick little quest for 3.
A cheeky little quest here. Scoop up 3 lore and push Bryan just a little bit closer to victory. And Maleficent Monstrous Dragon, a fantastic card from all the way back in the first chapter, the early days of Disney Lorcana. For you history buffs, it's one of the first 7 cards we saw in the entire game, and it is still relevant here in Infinity in Indianapolis. Back over to Bryan to see what he pairs with that Monstrous Dragon. It is a Grandma Tala.
So Grandma Tala, another wonderful card in this deck. I know it has been kind of in and out of this strategy, but Grandma Tala, very robust 4 cost character, 3/3. There was only Ocean is her ability. Let you check the top 2 cards of your deck, pick one, add it to your hand, send one to the bottom of your deck again.
And there was only Ocean in the options Bryan had, choosing between a Maui Half Shark and a Maui Hero Doll. I'm not sure which one he kept here.
Very flavorful.
Probably, yeah, right? Very flavorful. Probably that Half Shark to get another one there, but I'm not entirely sure. And now we will see an Eleanor come into play on Harvey's side of the board, and that's another way that you can start to chip away at the lore. But in order to use her ability, coordinated efforts, it will force him to exert 3 characters.
And another Dragon Fire from Maleficent Dragon comes down, and Bryan takes game number 1 on the draw, Liam. So you have already broken serve and done what was probably going to be very difficult for you to do, to come out and take a game away from Alphos on the draw. So now you can kind of take a nice little deep sigh and say, no matter what, at least I'll get another game on the play, and we're going to play more games. And Alphos has to be stunned. You went for it. You went all in, and he had it that time. And that's sometimes you got to make him have it, Liam.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Like, as a function of the draw, Alphos had a hand that was incredibly low to the ground. And to your point, you know, there are safe plays, there are risky plays, and in this deck where you could see it be prepared fairly early due to board wipe, sometimes you have to say, you know what, I see a path to victory. I see it. It is to do this thing. And if my opponent happens to have the answer, and if they manage to have the cards that set up that answer, in this case, they get the victory. If they don't, I'm going to get this game fairly easily, and we're going to move on to the next one.
Absolutely, Liam. And I think I've heard you say it, I've heard other broadcasters say it, this is a game of inches, okay? This is a game of almost. This is not a game of super large, wide margins a lot of the times. And if Alphos had found, say, Ursula Seaver on that tramp,
oh yeah,
we're playing a whole different game. This game is a whole different game, you know? So that is just one of the things about trading card games, and that's why I personally think they're so beautiful, is because it's not a science. It's going to have a little bit of luck mixed with a little bit of skill, and sometimes it's going to be your day, and you just have to manage that variance. And I'm so impressed with some of these great players because they're able to do that so consistently.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic point, actually, and that's why we play TCGs, because of these moments. And Harvey, between the 2 altars and between the dig with the tramp and between the draws, had an incredibly high percentage chance of seeing a deceiver, which you know he was looking for, and you know he wants in a deck with Be Prepared, and just never saw it. And if he finds it, he wins that game.
Yeah.
And so you can call it luck, but really it's the variance that we live with as TCG players. And so the goal is not necessarily to be the luckiest or everything. The goal is to perform at a consistently high level.
Absolutely.
So that when variance is in your favor, you are there to take advantage of it.
Yeah, luck is where skill meets preparation, is something that was drilled in me a long time ago. As we are getting set up for that game number 2, the players are just going through their shuffling and making sure all their cards are good. It looks like we have that lore pip on Harvey Alphos' side. For those of you tuning in at home, I'm fairly confident that Bryan was going to be the winner of that game number 1. So we'll get that fixed for you guys here soon. So keep it locked, stay switched on, make sure you spread the word, and go tell a friend that the Disney Lorcana Challenge is happening now. I want that chat bumping. I want everybody. If your paw's up, let me know your paw's up. If your fin's up, let me know if your fin's up. Who's going to take this thing down?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dogs fans, where are you at? Shark fans, where are you at?
I'm Shark fan right here.
Call them in. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm Shark fan right here. Oh, you got one right next to you, Lynn.
I don't normally root for dogs, but somebody's got to balance this out.
That's Katie. Katie's got to be somewhere on pins and needles, because she know that she picked this Emerald strategy to kind of take this thing down. So we're kind of battling right now. I gotta win something this weekend, Liam, for crying out loud. I got cooked by you in the caster draft. Got cooked by Rochelle in the game, and it's just, you know, it's tough.
You know what? You know what I won this weekend? I win getting to be here with you casting this.
Oh,
and that's the biggest win for me this weekend.
Man, we don't deserve Liam. We don't deserve Liam. As the players are getting ready, Alphos now on the play again. We kind of favored that go wide tramp line earlier. Let's see if we make any changes, and we are going to start with a much better start with this late incisive dog on 1.
Yeah, it's a great card on 1 because her ability is so good for a rush strategy, where if she has 3 or more strikes, she does get that extra 2 lore. And so if you're looking to be aggressive, it's a card that can benefit you. But on the other other side, Bryan following with that early Liquidator, a card that we saw really shut down Harvey's early questing last game.
Harvey's got to hate to see that Liquidator. That Liquidator is going to haunt his dreams for a time. We will respond kindly with a strong second Lady Decisive Dog, and the Kita is going to hit the board again.
And once again, we're one drop, and look how that puts pressure on the hand, especially when you're on the play and you're ink. And so Harvey, again, trying to go wide, and that Liquidator is so frustrating, but he is setting up a big quest. Perhaps if we see a number of tramps there, can send him off on those ladies on a big quest. But again, if Bryan manages to ramp pretty quickly and find that be prepared, he can shut down that strategy. So Harvey, again, indicating he may just be going for it.
He's going to grip it and rip it. I mean, it kind of almost worked. Like I said, he got very, very close. Game of inches. Maybe this time it'll go different. It'll go better for you. And sometimes you might get a little afraid. If you get punished one time, you're like, I'm not doing that again. You got to just keep going and trust your deck and trust your instincts, because that's what got you to this point.
If it's the best game plan, you think, if it's the best line and it doesn't work out once, go for it again, because variant says next time it should work out in your favor.
I totally agree, but let's see if Alphos agrees with us, and we're going to continue this go wide strategy. Looking at the hand, I believe we see that Kita Protector of Atlantis kind of there ready to set up a shift, and if you can get a shift and maybe get a nice early under the sea, there's not that many under the sea targets in this Ruby and Sapphire strategy, but maybe if you could just get this Liquidator off the board, just some early removal, you can probably, at least start your questing campaign sooner than later, because, like you said, there's a clock, and it's ticking, and every tick on that clock leans more towards Bryan.
Now, we are setting up here for a nice turn next turn. We do have that Eleanor in hand, and Harvey's going to keep 3 characters upright, protecting them. He does send that Kita off on a quest, offering a trade there. Willing to allow Bryan to get that Kita off the board in exchange for that pesky Liquidator iced over, which will allow those ladies to quest and not face a crackback from the Liquidator. We'll see how Bryan responds here.
I'll be interested if we go for this Firefly Swarm just to take that Kita off the board to keep our Liquidator around, because he is kind of holding your position together. Granted, now you have enough ink in your inkwell to develop that Maui hero to all, or maybe even the Maui half shark on a subsequent turn, but I still think if those ladies just start questing, there it is, the Firefly do be swarming, as we'll get that Kita down into the discard pile.
Yeah, and here's one of the things about this deck. Now, Bryan executing the double ramp there, trying to get to 7 ink as fast as possible, because here's the thing when you're facing a deck with Be Prepared, and you're in this position that Harvey's in. Even if Bryan doesn't have it, once he's within range of that Be Prepared, you have to kind of respect that it's there. Now, Harvey may do what he did last game and go for it anyway, but Bryan trying to put him in that position to question whether or not he's going to deal with that Be Prepared, trying to make him question whether or not he should go wide. Right. And now Eleanor coming in.
Eleanor is a nice little include here. We are going to probably give up one of our Lady Decisive Dogs, but Harvey recognizes I'm on a clock and I got to do something. I cannot just sit here, because this is going to happen. The Maui half shark is now going to rock the board. We are going to get a +1 by challenging and banishing this Lady Decisive Dog, taking no damage, but we can use our Popsicle. It does have an ability, and you can heal your character. So even if you get another character down, that Eleanor won't be as pervasive.
Yeah, and now in order to leverage that Eleanor, he's going to have to exert that Eleanor and put her at risk to that Liquidator or that Maui. But one important thing here that we should mention is we saw what happens last game when we executed a board wipe. Harvey lost his entire board and had to rebuild with basically 0 hand. One of the things this dog deck has to do, in addition to gathering lore early, is to try to find some card draw throughout the early game in order to give him some tools to respond to a board wipe. And so far he's found a couple. He did find an extra character off the Nani. He found another card off that Eleanor, and so giving him a little bit of extra resources, and that's important. Even if he doesn't manage to get much lore or do much damage with that Eleanor, that card draw could be big.
Yeah, that's right. Just trying to get more resources. You are running low, but that Maui half shark will say no. You have to respect the Maui half shark. He is, like you said, Liam, freezing this board in place. Every time you exert, this Maui will get a chance to challenge and banish whatever character you have. That 7 strength will even probably resist that Kita more often than not.
But what's better than 1 Eleanor? Twice as good even? It's 2 Eleanors. And that Liquidator is threatening. It does allow you to allow him to get a character off the board, but now 2 Eleanors in play will go 1, 2. That's 2 lore, 2 pings, 2 cards off the top deck. That feels pretty good.
That's a really good card, Liam. You have a Friends on the other side, you have a Fire the Cannons, and you have a Gathering Wisdom and Knowledge in one
little package.
One little package. It is a lot to set up, but this Maui half shark looking a bit compromised here, because if you do challenge into that Eleanor, because I think you got to get that Eleanor off the board now, that becomes a big threat to you. Having 2 Eleanors, you got to start to reduce those. Now your Maui becomes a bit vulnerable to another Eleanor ping.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Now, on the upside, he does have actions in his discard pile that banish other characters. So that Firefly Swarm sitting down there, Brian would love to remove a couple characters here. He did develop his brain, looked for a card. I don't know what he picked.
I can't quite see the hand as Tamatoa, happy as a clam, is down into the inkwell. We're playing 6. Is it another one? It's the spooky sight!
He found the one-up!
Whoa! That is incredible. The spooky sight off of the develop, and Harvey is stunned at that outcome. And just like that, all of your characters are going to go into the inkwell that are 3 costs or less. That's all of them, leaving nothing but an Eleanor remaining in play. And the Maui Half Shark can challenge into the Eleanor. We still are going to have to place that 3 damage. But wow, Liam, just like you said, that is a critical play.
Yeah, that card makes all the difference in this matchup. And the thing is, the problem is there's a one of in here, and I think if you play scared of it the entire game, you can't. It's almost a scenario where to pursue your game plan, you have to say, you know what, if you find the one of, you find the one of. Because if you play timid against this deck and allow it to get into Shark and Sisu and board wipe territory, then you're going to lose. So the upside is, though, Spooky Sight does give you plenty of resources to work with. And so now Harvey doesn't have to make the choice between inking his cards after playing the cards. He can simply play whatever he gets off the top deck because he has plenty of resources for this Dogs deck for the rest of the game.
And again, that Lilo Escape artist, she loves the Spooky Sight, especially when she is not affected by the Spooky Sight, because now basically you're bringing that Lilo back every single turn. You don't have to worry about anything at all, and that pairs so nicely with this Eleanor. So Harvey, you have to remain calm. The worst thing that could have possibly have happened has just happened, but he is composed like a champion. He seems unfazed. I don't know. I need to get a bit more mentally tough in these types of scenarios.
Yeah, thinking through his options here. Now, Eleanor her ability will not activate unless he gets a couple other characters on board. There is an option here without the Popsicle in play to heal that Maui Half Shark. You could go in a quest with Eleanor, offer that trade, get that lore. It does take one of your most powerful characters off the board. But speaking of powerful characters, actually, here's this Mulan, which is a really fun, resourceful recruit, a fun card that we've seen work in the meta recently.
Right, and this is a lot of pressure. If we can find out, if we can find this Tramp enterprising dog with this Mulan resourceful recruit and keep this board wide, maybe that's an outside way to find a path to victory, that's what Harvey's trying to set up, I believe.
And follows that immediately by a Tramp Street Smart Dog, allowing him to dig for that enterprising dog. So, like, this is a fantastic sequence of cards, and probably one of the best you could have hoped for in this scenario, putting that really threatening Mulan on the board. And let's keep in mind while we're talking about that enterprising dog, because Mulan has an ability that allows her to quest for her strength. And so if he does find that enterprising dog, he can give +4 strength to Mulan, quest, and then gain 4 lore out of her, putting him even closer to victory. Paired with that, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 also on the board. That would push him all the way to 18.
Yeah, that's a good rebuttal. After being spooky sighted, I think that is a great way to crack back. But looking at the hand, you also don't really have a lot of momentum in your hand. You have that Maui Half Shark, you have that Olaf Snowman of Action, and we're going to develop our brain. Let's see if we can find another one. Develop into Vision of the Future.
Oh my goodness.
And each time you play an action, you have that Maui Half Shark in play, you're going to gain a lore.
And he, at this point, again, he's digging for a be prepared is kind of the answer, because even if you don't find it this turn, if you allow Harvey to set up for another turn, he is going to eventually quest and almost close out this game. So you want to find that board wipe at some point, and you see the developing brain, you don't find it, but you find a vision. So you're digging 5 cards deeper. And if you were Harvey or you're a Harvey fan and you're watching this, you're holding your breath.
We got that Sisu as well, Liam. That's
did you see the Sisu?
Maybe we can hang on to that Sisu and hope we can find enough ink to get to it. But also, I'll be interested to see if we had enough ink to put out that Olaf, and maybe we could have visioned for the Be Prepared and sing it again, because the Ursula, again, your opponent doesn't have access to that Mowgli. Maybe we could have had the Olaf down and then vision for the Be Prepared.
JD, I want to point, I think the right top deck wins Harvey the game here. 1, 2, 3, 4 on board. Yep. Plus, let's see who we have an enterprising dog. And at this point in the match, an enterprising dog would +4 to that Mulan, making a request of 4, that's 18. You're going to get a lore off the Eleanor. Yep. So all you need is one more character that you can establish before the enterprising dog, and that's game on board. Am I not wrong?
I think you're correct. You have random numbers. You've done the mathematics. But Olaf, Snowman of Action, is going to change all of that.
Changes the math.
Like I said, this is a game of inches. And just like you said, there was an out, and he had it. The out was there. But now that 2 lore could be infinite lore at this spot. As the Maui Half Shark now free and clear to quest for 1, I believe.
I still think there's a route back. A lady, Miss Park Avenue, if he's running it, to pull cards out of the discard pile and establish multiple cards, could do it. Now, it's really, really narrow. Instead, though we will see a Nani. Nani perhaps is looking for that enterprising dog to get almost within reach here. This is really fascinating. What does he find?
It looks like we found it looks like we have at least one hit. It's very difficult for this strategy to not find a 2-cost character or lower to add to their hand. But I see that Lilo escape artist. I'm leaning over in my seat. I'm on the edge of my seat. Hopefully you guys on the edge of your seat too. If you're not switched on, if you don't like this in Lorcana, if you can't live for these types of moments, I think you might be in the wrong place. But I guarantee you're here for this. As I'm nervous. I'm shaking. And these players seem cool, calm, and collected.
Finding a deceiver here. So not a card that's going to get him closer to victory, but a card that allows him to check for that beep rare. And I think we're going to see that now. Giving a quick check. Do you have it? He's going to say no, but he's going to give him information. And now he's able to see that Sisu.
Oh, Sisu, the empowered sibling. And she is spooling up. There's really nothing you can do unless you got a quest. And you're going to lose a ton of characters on this quest as well. And that Maui half-shark will be able to challenge and manage the characters that are not exerted. So you might have to try to play around the Sisu as best you can and get whatever lore you can. You got to do something.
Man, is there a Lilo in the discard pile?
Right now, there is not. I don't
that's
think.
such a bummer. So there's so many interesting lines here. Now, at this point, he knows he's probably going to lose these characters to the Sisu, the 2-cost or less characters. And so you have to do something with him. He's going to send him on a quest here. It's going to be a bit of a bummer losing that Mulan. And so you wonder why quest with it. You quest with it so you can trigger that Eleanor.
Yeah.
That Eleanor is going to put a damage onto that Maui now and gain a lore and gain Harvey a card. Now, the Eleanor will be immune to the effects of that Sisu, as will the Nani. And so he will save 2 characters there when that card comes into play. All he needs to do is find a couple others to turn that Eleanor back on. And getting that card in hand will help. But I bet we're about to see a dragon here very soon.
I mean, we could take some time to maybe challenge with this Maui half-shark before we go for the Sisu play, just to get another high-quality action back from our discard pile before. And I like this approach a lot. I mean, Maui half-shark has done a tremendous amount of heavy lifting for you. We'll just go ahead and challenge and banish the Bobby Zemaruski, add another action back. I couldn't quite tell what it was. The Maui half-shark will trade. We have another Maui in hand, and there she is. The empowered sibling has arrived, and I got this, she says, and she does have this indeed, Liam, as we will be able to banish all characters with 2 strength or lower, and that will take a lot of lore pressure off this board, and Harvey has to be stunned again. 2 board wipes in 1 game.
Yeah, she's got this, and all of a sudden Bryan has the board with a couple incredibly strong characters. Now, his lore total isn't incredibly high, but the blessing for Harvey is that he has managed to preserve those 2 characters there. He plays another Nani to find another character, and this is still within reach. That Be Prepared would really shut things down. But let's not forget, though, that Harvey is Bryan is kind of low on resources as well. He is down to 2 cards, does have another half-shark there that can start to recur some actions, but he is not closing this down super fast. Harvey has some cards in hand, plenty of resources, so certainly still in this.
And it's very apparent when you see these 2 Illuminators at this table. Harvey showing so much resilience. You are clawing back, never giving up, finding a way to win. We will just play the Kita Guardian of Atlantis, Protector of Atlantis, excuse me, and you will be able to reduce the strength of all characters on the board by 3. So the Sisu, the empowered sibling, usually has a 5, now you're at 2. Olaf now sitting at a 1, and you can't challenge any of these characters. And since you have 2 exerted, Eleanor will not trigger.
Yeah, I mean, you sure can challenge. It just won't do as much as you would like. And so there, what did you? Oh no!
No.
Oh no!
Question for 3, and we got it.
The
and
top
again,
deck.
Be prepared
prepared!
Happens again, and that is the 3rd board wipe. And if I'm Alphos, I am rocked to my core to see that happen. And everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And the Ursula peeped the hand, and you missed it, and then you drew it. Everything is going good for Bryan.
Absolutely, but again, I mean, Harvey pushing his way all the way up to 15, and Bryan forcing to clear off 2 of his big questers, and he is fairly low on resources. So does establish a shark, which you don't like to see. But Harvey still with 2 cards in hand. All he has to do is get 5 lore to stick. All he has to do is
That's
get 5
it.
lore to stick.
And we're checking that discard pile. We're doing a quick little Lilo check to see if we got any in the discard pile. And unfortunately for Harvey, we do not. We are playing off the top of the deck. And I think, we got 1 card in hand, and I believe that's the Is that the Tramp or is that Under the Sea? I can't quite tell what you drew there, but if it's Tramp, I think you just got to play it. Every piece of lore you can get, slam it to the board and hold out hope. It's the Bobby Zemaruski.
Yeah, if it is Under the Sea, we're probably going to see it discarded here.
But we have Lady.
There it is. Yeah, there it goes.
We do have Lady Miss Park Avenue in hand as well. So that is going to be more lore from the discard pile, Liam. This thing is not over. Alphos is really, really pushing it to the limit. And Miss Park Avenue has entered the play. And I think Bryan now is showing a little bit of signs of frustration. How no, why won't you stop? Why won't you stop? Says Bryan, as Alphos says, I will not be denied. You're going to have to beat me, dog.
Yeah, and one of the problems in this Dogs deck has always been the card draw. We talked earlier about cards that are working their way into the deck now. Cards like Nani, Stage Manager, cards like Eleanor, which allow you to draw cards. But Miss Park Avenue has always been a fun card to work in this list. Not everybody runs them, but it basically turns your discard into a second hand. You're storing away cards there for later, and she gets you 2 on the play, which is incredibly powerful. Let's also not forget, she's no slouch when it comes to questing either. This young lady likes to quest for 2.
Yeah, she does. But you still have that Maui Half Shark in play. And when Maui challenges, you will be able to get an action back. Ursula Deceiver checks the hand and hits the how far I'll go. That stings. The Ursula Deceiver has been deceiving Harvey all day, but now she finally does her duty. You'll never miss it, just Ursula, as we will take that song from hand. And you got it back from the top of your deck, so your opponent knew it was there.
Yeah, and one of the things is, like, it's not an incredibly powerful card, but it does allow you to dig a little bit more to find another tool. So it's a card that gives you an out, and we found another one here.
Oh, my goodness.
Maui Half Shark singing How Far I'll Go, digging a little bit deeper. Oh, finds 2 dragons?
2 dragons, but I don't think you had the ink in your inkwell to deploy the Maleficent Dragon, which would have been wonderful.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't tell what that other keep was, but it wasn't good enough for you to play. And look at this board.
1 ink
That's
off.
4 lore in play. Is there a way that we can gain 1? Maybe Eleanor. If you have Eleanor, you can
Eleanor,
quest,
if he
quest,
finds
quest, and gain a lore at the end of your turn, and the game will come to a screeching halt, and we will be going to the all-important game number 3. Does he have it? As we're checking the discard pile
I
one
wish
more
you could
time.
see us, right? We are in the booth. We are on the edge of our seats. If he finds an Eleanor, which I mean, I think if he had it, we would have seen it by now.
I think so.
But every single turn here, Harvey has certain lines, remote as they might be, which would get him to victory. We are going to exert 4 here. What are we likely to see? It's a tramp.
Okay.
And you know what you can find with a tramp?
You can find anything you want in the top 3 cards of your deck. That's for sure. If that Eleanor is there and you have so much ink due to that spooky side, you can then potentially play it. Check in the hand. We got Ursula. We got Tramp. We got another lady. And I believe that is a Bobby Zimmerowski, the Spray Cheese Kid.
Yeah, we do find the Tramp Enterprising Dog, but no lady to pair her with. So I think he's going to keep the Ursula Deceiver, it looks like. Discarding the Bobby, the Kita, and the Enterprising Dog, cards that are available to pull back with another Miss Park Avenue later. It looks like we will do another hand check here. What do you got? Is it a Be Prepared? It is not. It is a Monstrous Dragon.
Also, it was 2 Maleficent Dragons. No wonder we made that pick so quickly. You're able to just take that character really, really fast. And because you had 2 Maleficent Dragon off of that, how far I'll go.
Now, here's the problem. You'd love to put yourself up to 19, right? You cannot, though, because Be Prepared is in the discard pile. Maui Half Shark, if he's able to challenge, will pull that Be Prepared back from the discard pile and enable Bryan to clear the board, keeping you at 19. So Harvey forced to keep everything upright and wait and see if he has an answer. We have a bit of an answer here. That Maleficent, or that Monstrous Dragon can come down, blast that Miss Park Avenue into the discard pile, leaving you with 5 lore. Is there anything else to keep Harvey off game?
That'll do it. I believe there is not, and it looks like Harvey is at 15, unless there is some type of discrepancy with the lore total. We got Harvey at 15. Bryan looking at the notepad saying, maybe I don't agree, but both Illuminaires are keeping their own score, and sometimes the lore on the screen is inaccurate, and Harvey is going to come back through some extreme odds and gets it done and forces this game number 3. And what a match we have so far, Liam.
A fantastic match, 1-1. It is neck and neck, and now we went from a best of 5 to basically a best of 3, a series that both these players are used to. One note on the lore discrepancy. Obviously, both players here, you see them with lore pads next to them in tournament play. If you're not familiar, it's very, very common, and it's encouraged for both players to keep track of both their own lore and their opponent's lore. One thing that probably happened, the discrepancy may have been that early quest from the Decisive Dog, which with the Enterprise, which gained an extra 2 lore. But so important for both players to keep track of what's going on. We will get a shuffle from Bryan as Harvey steps away from the table here.
All right, we're just taking, these are long, grindy matches. These Illuminaires have been playing all day yesterday. Some even played all day Friday, all day yesterday, all day today. So we just kind of take a little quick break, check the young Illuminaires room as we are just kind of waiting. You guys are not missing any action, and wow, we are set for an incredible finals.
Yeah, and we talk about this as a mental game, but there's so much that comes together here, the mental, the physical aspect of it, because these are really like marathons in a sense. The mental energy that it takes, the drain that it takes on your ability to think clearly and all of that, you have to take care of your body, you have to sleep well, all of that. So what we're seeing here represents hours and hours and hours and hours of gameplay, and these Illuminaires bringing to bear all the preparation that they've done, both physical and mental, over the last couple days.
Right. I mean, I believe there's a player, Alvin Lore Games. I think he was at this tournament. He did very well. He's always talking about fitness and mental health and mental fortitude. Zach Bibbs is another one. You go to the gym, you're working out, and I'm telling you, it might sound, again, I know how it sounds coming out of my mouth for those Illuminaries who might just be tuning in. Oh, you're just playing a card game. What are you talking about? This is very serious. It takes a lot of work. We're talking hours and hours and hours of dedicated study and practice and dedication to get to this moment. But still, don't be discouraged. You can be there too. There's always these great stories, Liam, and I know you love a good story about Illuminaries. Hey, this is my first TCG. This is my first tournament. And sometimes you just can be at the right place at the right time and you can get it done. So don't get discouraged. You can be here at the final table as well. But man, it does take a tremendous amount of work, and I don't want to oversight that by any means.
Well, and we talk about it, but it just means, like, when you look at these players and they've played a lot of games, yes, they've done a lot of study, but there's so much else that goes into it. Sleep too. Just a random funny story because I like it. I was doing an interview with a 2-time DLC winner and Worlds competitor Frank Karsten once, and he said kind of offhand, he said, I've never won more games of Disney Lorcana at a tournament than hours of sleep that I had the night before. I was always like, huh.
That's deep.
So it just goes to show that all the things that these players think about and what they put into to making it this far.
Yeah, round one doesn't start at round one.
That's right.
Round one starts weeks and days and months before the tournament begins with your preparation. You got to show up. You got to get ready. You got to find people to talk to. You got to have a community. You got to reach out. You can't really do it by yourself. I love doing these interviews over with some of these great players, and I always like to ask, hey, any special shout-outs? Who helped you get here? How did you get here? And everyone always says, hey, I got these groups. I got these friends. I have my family. I have someone. You're never going to do this in isolation, and that's another reason why, Liam, I absolutely adore this game, is because the people that you meet, the friends along the way. I mean, I'm not the best player, obviously, but I always love to show up, and I always love to shake hands and have that camaraderie around the community, and it's just such a great aspect of it. So again, I encourage you, if you're missing something like that in your life, make sure you go to your local game store and get out there and try some Disney Lorcana, because I'm telling you, you will have a good time. I can almost guarantee it.
It's true.
Absolutely.
I was going to do a thing and like give you a hug in the moment. Because there's people you meet along the way. Because it's true. You're making me emotional again. So now, let's getting back to the match here. So normally we're used to seeing a best of 3. And these players have done us a favor. They've given us a little bit of appetizer.
Yeah.
Here, a moose-bouche, if you are.
A little taste.
A little taste. And now we're down. Both players taking one game. Now we're down to a best of 3. And so I've kind of mused a bit on the game plan in these decks and whether or not they're going to change. Do you think after both players now having won one game each, pursuing pretty much the same game plan each time, does anything change going into this, or is the game plan the same?
It will. There will be changes. We did see that that Bryan had the opportunity to get those liquidators out very early. Maybe you don't get those liquidators out. You are going to be on the play this time, so you will have a slight advantage there. Maybe we can find some of those Maui Half Sharks or Maui Heroes for All to kind of help slow down a little bit. Maybe we can see. It's all going to depend not about what you don't get or what you do get. It's about how optimal that curve can be and how well your opponent can recognize what you're trying to do and play around it. So I would like to see a little bit. I mean, I'm not wishing anything bad on anyone, but maybe the curves might have to just change a little bit depending on what is presented, because Alphos has been presenting the problem each time, and Bryan has been doing a great job kind of clearing that problem. We saw, what was that, 3 board wipes in one game, and it still wasn't good enough. Now you're going to have to start putting yourself in a position to present problems to the to Alphos.
Finding that card draw. You mentioned the Liquidator. Very, very key to the game plan for the Ruby Sapphire deck when it is on the draw, shutting down the early questing. On the other side, I think Ursula Deceiver is a card that Harvey is going to be altering for hard.
Yes.
It is, you do want to be aggressive on the play. Deceiver is a card that you like to have early, but one of the things you can do in addition to disrupting the Be Prepared later on, an early Deceiver does 2 things for you. One, you take a look at your opponent's hand. You get an idea of their game plan if they have a bricky hand, because these Ruby Sapphire decks can have a bricky hand, and gives you an idea of how much room you have to play. But the other thing you can do, when we saw the Ruby Sapphire player do this, Bryan do this twice each time, is ramp twice to try to get to those Be Prepared and those endgame cards as quickly as possible. There is a card in this deck that you like to do that with, especially when you pair it with the Grandma Tala, and that is How Far I'll Go. Ruby Sapphire players have always loved to play that card on curve or to sing it with Grandma Tala after played. And so if you can pick an early How Far I'll Go, it does 2 things for you. One, it removes that early ramp from your opponent, but 2, it deprives your opponent on the play of ink. These Ruby Sapphire decks, because of their ramp strategies, especially if you're using Tipo to put an extra card out of your hand, can suffer a little bit from hand pressure. And these Dogs decks are not discard decks. They have very little. They have 1, and it's Ursula Deceiver. So an Ursula Deceiver early on the draw can be a problem for these decks. So we talk about the early game plan on the draw for Bryan, and that's one of the cards that's going to be key, I think, on the draw for Harvey.
Right. Any type of disruption. I think the disruption. You got to take people off of their timeline. You got to put them in uncomfortable positions, take them out of their game plan. And just like we said about the Dogs deck, all their cards, you need to find a way to transfer into lore. Well, on Bryan's side, all your cards need to translate into some type of resource, maybe some type of removal. And if you can just disrupt a little bit to take them off that timeline, it slows them down so tremendously much. And then How Far I'll Go allows you to see a few different cards as well and have some value engine being generated, especially when you can sing it. So if you can get like you said, the key card is Ursula and that spooky sight and that removal, Olaf's no minimum action. It's a nice little amalgamation. It's a push and pull. It's not just I'm going to do my thing, you do your thing. There's got to be some interaction here.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about is the board wipe game. There's this sub game that's always existed when your opponent has some sort of board wipe, and usually existed with Be Prepared because it's unconditional, right? The Sisu you can play around a little bit by establishing higher strength questers, but the sub game is this: in this matchup that at some point your opponent is likely to find that Be Prepared. He is likely to wipe your board, at least more likely than not, unless you hit that Deceiver at the perfect time and everything works out in your favor. So given that, you need to set yourself up for that scenario. And to do that, you need to find card draw in the mid game to give yourself some resources in hand, but you also have to play enough on board, put enough pressure on that it forces Bryan to play that Be Prepared on your terms.
Right, absolutely.
Because if left to his own devices, Bryan is going to want to let Harvey overextend. And if Harvey is not pushing his lore total and not pushing an incredibly oppressive board state, Bryan will let Harvey overextend to play that Be Prepared at the worst possible time for Harvey.
Absolutely.
And so that's the sub game.
We saw that being on full display in that game number 1 with that Olaf Snowman of Action was able to sing that Be Prepared very early and send Harvey all the way to a very uncomfortable position. But if you're just now tuning in, we are in the Grand Finals. We are going into game number 3. This is not it. We're going to have the best of 5. So we could potentially go the distance here as we are back and active and ready to go. So seat backs back up into the upright and lock position as Bryan now will have the opportunity to be on the play.
Yeah, and the play draw disparity is so interesting here. You know, in Disney Lorcana, the play draw disparity can matter in certain matchups with certain cards. And in these tournament formats, the way it works is during Swiss rounds, you roll a die, randomly choose who gets to go first and who has to gets the draw first. But in these top brackets, whoever has the higher seed ends up getting to be the player that plays first, or at least gets to choose, I believe. And so Bryan has an uphill battle because he has to break serve basically twice coming in here as the lower seed. He did it on game 1, winning on the draw, and then Harvey won on the play here. Now, in this best of 3, Bryan's going to have to break serve again and win on the draw, whereas Harvey has a lot easier route to victory, able to win on the play twice.
No, Harvey now has to win one on the play. Harvey won on the play. He's got to win one on the draw, so Harvey needs to do this to break his serve. Because Bryan, you did. You said it backwards. It's okay. We got the fine. No, Bryan's on the play now. Bryan won on the draw the first time, and he lost on the draw.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. So it's all good.
One of these players is going to have to break serve, and it's really challenging for that
Both
player.
of them can break serve.
That's right.
The serve will be broken at some point, I think, unless we keep, because if Bryan can win on the play, Harvey wins on the play, Bryan wins on the play, he'll win the tournament.
I changed my analysis. So that shows the importance of breaking serve in a best of 5, right? So you break serve on the best of 5, and now you've put yourself in an advantageous position. Because in the best of 3, now you're forcing your opponent into that position, basically becoming the higher seed.
Correct.
In the
There you go. Exactly.
Hey, pretend I said that from the beginning.
Yeah, editor, have all that removed and then cut it in. You understand,
That's right. In a best of 5, breaking serve incredibly important. So now Bryan effectively becoming the higher seed here for this best of 3.
There it is.
There we go.
Bryan kind of hanging out, really thinking about how we want to do this altar. Did we snap that altar super quickly?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm taking a look at Harvey's altar here now. Harvey being. Yeah, Harvey. I didn't see how many Bryan altered. I was kind of looking at Harvey's hand to see if he managed to find that Deceiver. It looks like we're thinking very carefully about this altar. I'm trying to decide between 3 and 4 cards here.
Yeah,
shift 3. It looks like.
I think we're probably shipping those and hanging on to these because I don't see this. That's a very aggressive start. Holy moly, that's a very aggressive start. But Alphos said that might be a bit too hand consuming, as we'll send these high cost characters back to the bottom of the deck and find more. I believe we saw that there was a Lady Decisive Dog and maybe 2 copies of Lady Decisive Dog in hand. So that's going to be a very aggressive start. You are on the draw, but still, I think that's a powerful maneuver.
Yeah, let's see which way this goes. Harvey shuffling up here. Oh man, everything. honestly. So just to paint the picture, everybody out there, these players are playing in the feature match area. There's these incredibly cool light boards around them. You saw a little bit during the preview, and all of these players who've hung out to the end of the day here, friends, family, just Disney Lorcana fans, are all standing around watching these players. And so both Harvey and Bryan know that not only are they being watched by all of you out there, by us in here, us commenting on their every move, but all of these players, hundreds of them, are standing around out there watching them get this match underway.
And this is very stressful. I mean, this is like a moment that you've dreamed about since you started playing Disney Lorcana, and here you are living your dreams in real time. We are going to take that, develop your brain really quickly, sending one to the bottom of the deck. I think that was a BP at the top.
It was, and it's a fascinating choice, right? Because normally Bryan knows he wants that card. He also knows that Harvey is going to find a deceiver if at all possible. And so sending that Be Prepared to the very bottom of the deck, a card that we probably won't see again, so one less available in this match.
Yeah, and now we find that Tipo, Growing Sun, on the draw is going to be a little bit worse. It will clock our hand a little bit harder as we are going to think about putting that Firefly Storm down to the Inkwell, and we do. So ramp on 2 is achieved, but not the optimal version that you want. We have 2 How Far Goes in hand, so maybe that's going to be our turn 4 play. If we have that Ursula, do you send it, Liam?
I think you do. We'll see what Harvey says here, but I think trying to see what's in that hand and know what the game plan is important. There it is. We are going to check. And Bryan, I talked about the importance of picking that How Far I'll Go, found an insurance How Far I'll Go, and Harvey hates to see that because if that was the only one, it would have really disrupted this game plan. But look at the rest of it. There's nothing super impactful there. No Grandma Tala to establish the board. We do have a How Far I'll Go, which is important, but he does, speaking of super impactful cards, he does find a Half Shark off the top deck.
And that will kind of help your hand a little bit, and we can set that Maui Half Shark as soon as next turn, just ink and probably try to freeze this board, showing how impactful being on the play can be. And also, the Ursula is a great card. You were able to be successful to discard a card from hand. Your tempo is very slow. You like to have those 2 1-cost characters like you've been doing, maybe a Grandmother Willow into another 1-cost character, just to keep that pressure up. But now you're going to be dealing in deep shark-infested waters here as soon as next turn.
Yeah, it is a bit of a low-tempo plan, to your point. You do have more aggressive lines, but I think the play here is try to snag that double ramp. And speaking of double ramp, double Grandmother Willow is coming down, followed by a lady. These Grandmother Willows, of course, reduce the cost of the next character you play by 1. So Grandmother Willow reducing Grandmother Willow by 1 to 1. That Grandmother Willow coming down, reducing that lady to 0. And so all of a sudden, things went from very little to a lot.
And now, since you had played 3 characters that turn, the latest slice is also going to be able to quest for 3. And I think Alphos can hear me. You talk about tempo. I'll show you some tempo, big dog.
That's right. JD, you call this a low tempo, but you want to see tempo? I'll show you tempo.
I got you. Here we go. And now the Maui has landed. So we will be able to freeze frame the questing for a little while. As Bryan there is looking at this Maui Half Shark, staring at Oblivion. There are a ton of characters in play, and Alphos feeling free and clear not to quest. We'll just stand ready and maybe hope for a tramp street smart dog to find the card we need.
Yeah, and the thing that, again, shuts this down is some sort of board wiper, Be Prepared. And I think, Harvey trying to prevent Bryan from finding those, doesn't want to offer the Maui Half Shark the ability to pull diggers back, by digging cards, I mean, Visions of the Future, or Develop Your Brain, How Far I'll Go, etc. But I will point out, he does find a Be Prepared, I believe, off of this Visions of the Future, seeing it within those 5 cards in his deck. And I think that was kind of a snap pick there. I think that's what he kept. And so that will be available.
Yeah, maybe
there it is.
Maybe Alphos could take this as an opportunity to go on another little check if you have another Ursula Deceiver, and we will take this as an opportunity to just play the How Far I'll Go. So that's 2 renditions of that song. We have another Maui Half Shark as well, and the decision is kind of tough here. Do we want to keep that Grandma Tala, or we would keep the Maui Half Shark? Maui Half Shark is going to be the choice, and we'll get a nice little quest in with the Maui Half Shark and the Tipo Growing Sun.
That's true. We're even at 5, and importantly, we are at 7 ink. That Be Prepared is available. We talked about overextending versus saving resources. Lilo, a card you're not unhappy to be sent to the discard pile, but Harvey is extending here. He will play that Aurora. He will play that Kita. So dumping everything he can onto the board here. He is going to go for a quest. He is going to go for it. And he did establish, we should point out, 3 characters on board this turn that will plus up those ladies by 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That is a huge lore swing, and you see that lore just climbing the ladder. You're already at 14, and you put yourself in a position to where you now have forced your opponent into you better have it or don't. You also can take that Maui Half Shark on a challenge again and just get some more resources, or just quest and then just send this Be Prepared. But you've taken the initiative and you basically forced their hand.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly right. You have forced the hand. Harvey knows that it might be coming. Basically, like first game, he says you got it or you don't. Maui Halfshark will go on a challenge here. It's just to clear up a character. It's to activate his ability, pulling back, develop your brain here. Bryan doing the smart thing here. Bryan, before making his decision, is looking at all of his options available. So digging down with that develop your brain, going to see what's available before he makes that decision. Did he find a spooky site, JD?
I think that might have been a spooky site, or it might have been a sale the right. See, I can't quite tell. It's the be prepared we're going to elect to use to clear this board, but Alphos has already done a tremendous amount of heavy lifting, and now you're at a position, you have 14 lore, and I think you can kind of drag this thing to victory as we're both in this low resource game. So I love that sequence coming in from Bryan, but Alphos is in a comfortable spot because we have this Lilo escape artist. This is a card that I think is a difference maker in this matchup.
It could be, but unfortunately we know that Bryan has a shark looming, and then with Lilo escape artist coming in exerted, once that shark hits the board, pulling her back to give your opponent more cards every single turn is incredibly unpalatable. So that Lilo may stick around to get a quest this turn. It looks like she will, but after that, pulling her back is really, it's a dangerous move. And unfortunately, just like game one, Harvey electing to go incredibly wide here, the result is that not a lot of resources available. So it has some cards in hand, but only 3 ink available. And when he uses those Lilos, not able to do much else.
Yeah, and this is a problem, I think, for Harvey. And you are kind of hurting on resources. 3 cards in hand, only 3 ink and inkwell. But this Mulan might make a bit of a difference if we can find an enterprising dog off the top of the deck, and you cannot engage with this Mulan. I believe, I can't count Liam, but that could be a way that you can win this game. Can you find an answer to clear these ready characters now, Liam? I think you're going to need it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, first game we were going through all the lines available. With that Mulan in play, it changes all of the math. It does give you lines. Bryan wants to find a way to clear something off of this board because you have 1, 2, 3. What did he find?
He found the Olaf Snowman of Action.
Oh, my goodness.
I think that will do it again. That's going to mess that mathematics up. You have a ton of action in your discard pile, and this might be able to be played at a steep, reduced cost and slow down Harvey ever so slightly. And just a little bit of speed is all you requires. Grandma Tala is going to enter the play now. We find vision of the future and develop your brain. We are going to take, I believe that was the develop your brain, I believe. No, it's the vision of the future, excuse me. So we can continue to vision and look for another answer.
And doing the math here, like once again, I do believe Harvey had lanes to victory on his turn if he finds that tramp enterprising dog paired with another character. I think that would have done it. But now I did the math very, very quickly, and I'll do it again here publicly. If he establishes another character on board and then plays that enterprising dog for 4, that Mulan quest for 4, 5, 6 with the Lilo, 7 with the Aurora, that would put him 1 over victory. But with that Snowman of Action coming into play, like it did just now, it's going to bounce Harvey back to 12, putting him at 19, I think, with an ideal draw.
That next turn, yeah, that is a very cool. Olaf really coming in all the way from Winter Spell, the last set. It has just been so impactful in this Ruby and Sapphire matchup. We also have that Sisu, the empowered sibling, in hand. It is Ursula proof. It's Mowgli proof. It's everything proof. Unless you got to hypnotize or something, I don't think you play that card. And you know that a board wipe is almost going to be immediate. The next turn we'll play the key to and pass. So you're trying to put game on board, but you just don't know that there is a Sisu inbound, and the empowered sibling has rocked in again. I got this, and Alphos says it's done. We're going to throw the hand up. And Bryan now sitting on match point. That's 2 wins. You won on the play, and now Alphos back firmly placed against the wall. This Illuminator, again, has traveled all over the world, based out of New Zealand. He is a community pick, fan favorite. He loves everyone, but now he's got to prove it. This is the time champions are made. These are the moments you live for, Liam.
Absolutely, and every one of these games has been excellent for every one of these games. Each one of these Illuminators have had path to victory. Alphos has been just a couple cards away from pulling it out, and Bryan having the answer every single time, digging, and finding the right cards at the right time. This is peak Lorcana. We are going on to game number 4, and now Bryan has a chance to put this away. Harvey's a chance to extend this one more time. It doesn't get any better than this.
Liam, how do you think these players are feeling right now? I'm looking at Bryan. I'm seeing so much emotion in his face, and I'm looking at Harvey. I sense so much emotion coming to the leader. What do you think is going through their minds here at this spot?
You know, I think at this point, these are very competitive players. They have been in stressful situations before. They've been in win-ins before. And so at this point, if you had nerves during game 1, if you had nerves during game 2, if you had nerves during game 3, which they probably didn't, I would. They have settled now, and these players are locked in. These players, as a famous broadcaster would say, these players are locked in and laser focused. They are taking it to the next level each and every draw here, leveling up, trying to put this game away. And I think that both of these players know exactly what game plan they want to pursue, and we're going to see the very best that they have to offer in this next game.
I agree. They are locked in, switched on, laser focused, active, and they are ready. Take a little sip of that water, staying hydrated. We are getting those final shuffles in, as Alphos is going to need to win on the play and then turn around and take 2 on the draw, or excuse me, turn around and take another one on the draw. So this is going to be a challenge, but it's not called Disney Lorcana Easy, okay? It's called the Disney Lorcana Challenge, okay? See,
how long have you been sitting on that one?
You know what? Months, Liam, okay? Actual months, and I hope you're just proud of me. I'm trying to be like you.
I loved it, man.
I'm trying. I try. Maybe Baker's gonna kick me out of here because I've been saving that one for a minute. I'm glad. I went for it.
And you rolled it out.
They all can't be gems. Okay.
I'm a big fan. That was a gem. That was gold. Put that on a bumper sticker.
Very true. So we got Alphos now, who's on the play. You are at a pretty significant advantage when you are on the play. You're looking for those very aggressive lines. You have been finding them quite consistently, and you got it again. You have that lady, you have that Willow, you have that lady, and then you can continue to just accelerate, start questing. You got the Lilo. This looks like a powerful hand, but you don't really have that quote-unquote top end that you need. You usually like to finish that line with an Eleanor or maybe even a Tramp. You don't have those right now, but maybe you can also form.
JD, speaking of cards that you need, Bryan shifted a full 7. He shifted a full 7 because I'm willing to bet that on the draw that he is desperate to find a liquidator.
Yeah.
I watched him pull those 6 cards. If I'm not mistaken, he pulled 6. The 7th card he pulled was a liquidator. So digging hard. And here's the thing. If you do not shift 7, you don't find that. Now, you would have found it next, but let's say you choose to be conservative. You keep the ramp. Let's say he had ramp and he's looking for that liquidator. If you don't shift the full 7, you don't find that liquidator.
Wow.
So I don't see
he had ramp and he sent the ramp in favor of the liquidator?
See if he had the ramp.
Okay, I was about to say that is a gambit. That is a bold move.
I don't see if he had the ramp. He may have shifted
he very well might have. And to your point, this liquidator being on the draw is so important, and we saw how it helped Bryan stabilize that early game. If Alphos can get a free and clear 6 to 8 lore, it's going to be so difficult for Bryan to come back from that. But that liquidator can simply single-handedly stop that from happening, especially when you're on the draw.
Absolutely. We saw it so impactful in 2 of these 3 games so far. Every game that Bryan's been on the draw. And so now we'll see if he did find that ramp. When you shift a full 7, whether or not you have the ramp in the opening hand, it is risky. You hold your breath. If you do not find that ramp, this deck cannot do what it was meant to do.
Not on the right timeline. That's why I say no ramp on 2. You know what to do. We're shipping them all, and we're going to hope that it comes through. As Bryan hopefully, you got that ramp on 2. We have that liquidator. Like you said, the fist bump has been issued, and the players are ready. Can Alphos force a game number 5, or will Bryan be the Disney Lorcana Challenge Indianapolis winner? We're going to find out here in just a moment. I want to see a game 5, but I just want to see these players playing to their utmost capability.
And Rapunzel going to the discard pile. A great card draw, but one that's not very great in this matchup because there's not some smaller characters to leave some damage laying around. And there's that Liquidator that we saw him draw. And I'm taking a peek at his hand. We do see an Azurite Sea. So shipping a full 7 and pulling probably the 2 most important cards. You have a Tipo, you have a Sail, you also have the Liquidator. A bold move by Bryan, but it is going to pay off here.
Right, and we also have another Sail, the Azurite Sea as well. So we can get the rare and indigenous double ramp as Tipo can go for a Sail, and then we can get that Maui Half Shark online even earlier. So this looks like 2 Illuminaires with 2 very good hands, as we are going to ink the Hideaway, which really doesn't do much in this open deck list matchup.
No, it does not, and we are going to get that ramp Tipo to the Inkwell here. Back over to Harvey. He's pursuing, again, another aggressive line here, dropping 2 characters onto turn 2, courtesy of that Grandmother Willow. We'll see what his follow-up is here. He does have early quest lines available. It will be that Nani, a well-statted card here, but also allows him to dig and find another card off the top. Perhaps looking for an Enterprising Dog, maybe an Eleanor.
And in this matchup, Nani actually has a secondary effect that she could trade with this Reckless Liquidator to free up some of your other Glimmers to start questing, as now multiple turns have gone by. You haven't achieved any lore add, as we are going to continue to find another character. Is that Ursula Deceiver being added from the Nani ability?
That is great insurance to have in hand. You pick that at the perfect time. You get rid of that be prepared. So Harvey feeling pretty good about having that tucked away. We will establish another lady, and we saw a game earlier where with 2 ladies on board, Harvey did manage to quest for an incredible amount, and now that line is available here, but only 2 cards in hand. And so once again, 3 ink on the board this time, 2 cards in hand, 5 characters on board. This is, it's going to be a knife edge for the next couple turns.
So electing not to go for this, we are going to go for the double ramp situation. As another Sell the Azerite C is found, we can go for the triple ramp, but I think that might be a bit too much ramp if you're asking me, as the Grandma Tala will find her way into the Inkware, and the Firefly Swarm is pulling up, and there it is. It lands, and will remove the Lady Decisive Dog from the board. So now getting that lady to the discard pile before she can quest, that's 1 point in favor of Bryan. I know there's 0-0, but that's a point because your removal beat the lore on Harvey's side.
Yeah, a card that only introduced to the game recently, Firefly Swarm, become a favorite of certain Ruby players, doing work in this tournament, doing work here, getting that lady off the board, shutting down that incredibly aggressive line.
Yeah, and that just went ahead and showed that Ursula Deceiver versus Mowgli situation. You have that vision of the future. Had that been Mowgli, that would have been a nice little +1 for you. But now this Ursula sees the hand. You see those 2 Maui half sharks, and now you have the ink, the certified ink in the form of vision of the future. You can start stacking these sharks on the board.
Yeah, those sharks could come swimming in here pretty soon. Harvey now choosing whether or not to go for it here. He will open himself up to a challenge from the Liquidator, but if he knows if he waits a turn longer, those sharks are going to be swimming around on the other side of the board, making even more menacing challengers. So let's see what he offers up here for trade. It will be a Nani, a Bobby, and a lady. May as well quest with all 3 if you're going to quest with 1. And that lady there, courtesy of the Ursula Deceiver and that Bobby, will quest for 3.
I'd like to just go ahead and take this Liquidator all onto that lady. Let's get this shark established, and now we got a game. Both of these Illuminators are doing exactly what they want to do.
And once again, I'll draw your attention to the lore on the right side of the screen. I do believe, courtesy of the 3 quest off that lady, we should be at 5. I think that is correct. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But
no, so we
no, because we didn't plus it up. We only went
right. We only get 2 characters down. But
right.
I love how switched on you are, Liam. I'm switched on too, man. We are ready. We're not missing anything. Hopefully, the Twitch chat at home is enjoying it as well, as the Nani will take a trade with that Liquidator. It will be a nice way to relieve some pressure off this board. And Harvey says, I'm just gonna quest. I'm gonna quest them all, and I'm gonna say we're gonna get there in due time. The glimmers are established. The 2 Lilos are in play, and maybe we can outleg this Maui half shark, and that might be what Harvey is thinking, and there's a lot of question power established, Liam.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you are offering a trade to the Maui half shark, and that does offer the ability to bring a card back from the discard pile. But to be frank, there's nothing that scary in the discard pile right now. Now, the Firefly Swarm does allow Bryan to banish a character, and that will allow him 2 cards off Harvey's board this turn to reduce it and make it a little less scary. But Harvey knows that Bryan has another shark in hand, and if Bryan is taking time, if he's taking 2 or 3 ink to leverage one of those actions he pulls back from the half shark, he's not doing something scarier, like playing a second half shark. And so Harvey now knowing that this turn can't be that oppressive, because even if that half shark does leverage his ability, it's not going to be that bad.
Right, it's not that bad, but it will kind of slow Harvey down a little bit. Harvey's now all in on this questing campaign. We do have this Maui half shark in play. We do have that dragon, like that Firefly Swarm, like you said. We can't just clear more lore off the board with this Lilo, and if you keep bringing those Lilos back, I'll keep bringing the Firefly Swarm back. But at the same time, Bryan's not able to establish any more tempo. You're going to have to take that as your entire turn. But we also have that Popsicle in play, so we can start to heal our Maui half shark, as well as the challenge has commenced. Maui now has challenge and banished. Maui has now challenge.
Yeah, and that Firefly Swarm here getting pulled back by the Maui. Those couple characters exerted there. Is that Firefly Swarm coming back to hand, and now we're going to play that Maui half shark to board. So pulling that back, not playing it, getting 2 sharks on the board. There's 2 sharks swimming around now, able to shut down Harvey's questing. So what was 1 is now 2, and what do you call it? Is it a school of sharks?
It's a school, a shark
pair?
party, a shark party.
A Sharknado, perhaps.
There it is. I like that. As we have the Maui half shark who is exerted. We have 1 ready and active, and now this position is looking very vulnerable for Harvey, as we are staring down 2 Maui half sharks. We're going to bring back that Lilo. I don't think we have a choice at this point, because you are committed to the quest, and let's see if that is going to pay off, as we're staring down greatness. Can you get it done? Harvey now looking at these 2 Maui half sharks, and what are you going to do?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, at some point, you just have to go for it. You have to identify those moments where you need to go for it, force your opponent to have it. And again, there's not a ton of scary, super scary, although pulling that back, looping that Firefly Swarm does feel pretty bad, because in this instance now, with the ink in play, you can play that Firefly Swarm from hand, pull it back from the discard pile with a half shark, play it again, and so that's 4 characters banished every single time you manage to loop that Firefly Swarm and challenge.
Yeah.
Harvey, though, going for it, scooping up some lore, getting closer to victory.
This could be it. I mean, you got a lot of lore in play, and this could be the moment that you need to turn this thing around, but it seems like Bryan now has what we see in hand. It looks like we have a Firefly Swarm. It looks like we have a vision of the future. We are going to go for the Firefly Swarm here, taking down the grandmother Willow from the back row. We have these 2 Maui half sharks now free and clear to start to challenge in and get that Firefly Swarm back again, and we will do so. The Lilo now challenge and banish. We have the opportunity to play the Firefly Swarm. That's 2 more lore, and we are picking this board apart, Liam, and these sharks are just proving why you got them in the deck.
Yeah, sharks and Fireflies. Firefly Storm coming back here again, picking off another character. We have 1 more challenge available from this half shark. It'll remove something else. Harvey all the way at 13, but Bryan slowly dismantling everything there. I do think that the lore total on the left, we haven't seen the lore gain off those actions just yet. We've seen a couple there, but I do think that lore total is pretty close to right. Harvey now left with 3 characters on the board. That does put him all the way at 16 if nothing else changes. And I'm trying to think what reach he has available. He can play an Eleanor.
He can.
I think with the right top deck, which will get him a 4th floor, getting him even closer to victory. And so let's see. Let's see, 1, if Bryan is able to, passes here, and then 2, what Harvey responds with, because we've seen now with that Firefly Swarm in play with those half sharks, you can remove 4 characters a turn.
And we do have that Olaf Snowman of action. You are just trying to keep as much momentum as you can, as you got Harvey in a very, very delicate spot with only 3 characters in play. You don't have the lore available, that your exert plan wasn't working. You only have 3 ink in your inkwell, so you can only bring back 1 Lilo. Let's see if we elect to do so. Harvey now staring at the Ursula. 2 Bobbies. What are you going to do? And we're going to draw for turn. It's the Kita, protector of Atlantis. We are still trying to find a path to victory. And the thing about the Kita is that it will only reduce the Mauis by 3. They're still 4. They're strong enough to challenge and manage all these glimmers. And you can, it's not, you don't have the ink to play it.
No, was that a Kita? It might have been a Nani. I'm not sure, but we're going to see here in a second. And the thing is, like in this scenario, you lose your whole board if you expose them to the half shark. So you'd love to be able to quest to get yourself closer to victory, but at this point you have to just basically establish. It might have been that Kita there because we saw no play.
We just got an ink and pass.
Terrible top.
This is looking problematic here for Bryan, as we will take a little vision into the future, taking a deep dive. We're going to check 5, checking the top of the deck. We got Popsicle. It's T-Bo. You're just trying to find any more pressure you can, and it looks like we got a pretty quick snap off the top of that vision of the future. 2 Maui half sharks in play. They are evasive, so even if you are to exert, that's another lore you gain from that vision of the future. You can't even muster another challenge back.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Now, Bryan set up a clock here. He's likely to play 1 or 2 actions every single turn, and every single time he plays an action, he gets 2 closer to victory. And speaking of 2 closer to victory,
the Olaf Snowman of action. This has probably been the card of this final so far. Now, Maui free and clear to start questing, putting a lot of pressure on Harvey, who just really doesn't have anything going right now. We got Nani, the stage manager. 3 cards. We can set it up and start to play it. But Nani comes down, checking the top of the deck. What do we need? I think you just got to keep this. You got to stick to this questing campaign. It's been kind of working for you. Maybe there's a way you can find it, but looking at the choices you have is definitely not what you need.
Yeah, his enterprising dog there available, but not great in this scenario. There's just not a lot of answers. He does find a Kita. That is a shift target for the big Kita. That is a surprise quest, because not only can she come and subtract the board, but she can come in and quest for 2 immediately, take your opponent by surprise. But Harvey just setting up this board, hoping he finds something to close this out. Back to Bryan, though. 2 sharks in play in Olaf. That's 4 in quests, plus 2 every action that's played.
And we're going to continue. We're still inking that 7 ink. And it's the Sisu empowered sibling, and that will remove so many characters from the board, leaving nothing but the Nani stage manager. And just like that, when it rains, it pours, and the dragon Sisu has hit the board. Now Alphos is stunned. He feels so, oh my goodness, he still got a smile on his face, and that is it. The concession is in, and just like that, Bryan is your Disney Lorcana